Welcome outside to my now garden. I have always wanted to have a garden. My grandma had really beautiful rose garden. She also grew collard greens, tomatoes. She had like a grapefruit tree, a lemon tree. And so that was always a dream of mine, but I was never really intentional about it, just something that I said that I always wanted to do. But a few weeks ago, my husband, he has gotten really into cutting the grass lately, but he or we didn't really focus on like pulling weeds and doing like the more like I don't know landscaping or maintenance part of it. And so he had asked one of our neighbors landscapers if they could come and if they could just clean things up for us. And so we met a really nice guy who came and was able to clean up all of the weeds and get everything really manicured. And so I had purchased the soil for the garden and it had just been sitting for a couple of months. So he noticed it and he said that that was something that he could help me with. So him and one of his team members came and they dug up the soil. They planted the organic soil that we had purchased, and then he purchased the plants for me. So we have some chilies, we have strawberries, we have tomatoes. Other than the chilies that are growing, don't even ask me what the other ones are. I definitely still learning. I have a lot to learn as far as like maintenance and upkeep. Luckily, I do have him to help me to keep this maintained and to help teach me, but a lot of it is going to be trial and error. But I'm just happy that I finally got started, and I just look forward to just learning more about gardening. I'm not the best at keeping up with plants, and I've tried it maybe like twice. Didn't work out too well, but it is something that I want to do and to get better about, and to be able to just come out in my garden and just take things slow, just relax, get my hands dirty. So that's something that I'm working on. I guess you could say a new hobby of mine. But in today's video, I want to, I guess, get a little bit more personal, and I wanted to share some updates on my fertility journey. So, some videos back, I had, I guess, just introduced my fertility journey and kind of started from the beginning as far as like my diagnosis, which is primary ovarian insufficiency, or previously known as premature ovarian failure. So, I talked about that and just like my feelings about it at the time, and kind of where I am now of like me trusting in God on this journey, and how my fertility journey has brought me a lot closer to God. But I have had it on my heart for a long time to make a more in-depth video specifically about primary ovarian insufficiency, or I'll call it POI, because just over the years I was diagnosed as a teenager, but I would always go online and try to look for other people with the same diagnosis and to see what they did, whether it was what supplements they took or if there were any treatments, because it was always just like there's nothing you can do. You just kind of live with it. There's no treatment. But I'm the type of person, I don't take no for an answer, especially if I don't feel like you truly have an answer for me. And that's what I always felt from the doctors of like, well, from what we know, there's nothing we can do, but they couldn't tell me why. They couldn't really give me any facts. And so for me, that wasn't good enough. And I just would always look online to see if there was any new research or anyone else's experience that I could learn from. And so, like I said, I looked constantly over the years, and I would find a few different things, some things that were helpful, but still not really enough. So I've learned a lot over just within my journey, but especially over the last 2 years or so. And I want to share that. I don't know if I'll be able to share everything in this video because there's a lot, but just kind of to summarize, and then I can always, oh my gosh, these bugs, I can always deep dive into it later. But like I said, I've tried so many different things. I've tried acupuncture, herbs, supplements. I've tried IV therapy. I've tried low level laser therapy. Like you name it, I've probably tried it. Hormone replacement therapy. And I guess the first thing that I've learned or that I wanted to share is that just the importance of leaning on God. And I touched about that in my last video of going to God in everything, even when it comes down to like, well, should I be taking these supplements? And, should I be trying IV therapy? Should I try a new doctor? Because I found that it's so easy to get consumed in trying all of the things and this thing and that, but it can get really overwhelming and it can really disturb your peace. And that's a huge thing that I've learned in this journey. It's just the importance of keeping my peace. And for me, my peace is in Jesus Christ. Like that, without him, I don't think that I know that I wouldn't be able to make it this far in my journey, and definitely not to keep going, but to just have the peace as a foundation. It helps with managing well, should I try this supplement, or should I get this treatment or that treatment? Because there's so many different things. So that was the first thing. The second thing that I learned, at one point, I was really into acupuncture. I even took classes at an acupuncture school. I wanted to be an acupuncturist. And I remember as I was on that journey, I met someone and they were questioning acupuncture and if that was of Christ and all of these things because of, I guess, just how it was founded, since it's Chinese medicine and just, I guess, the foundation of it. So I remember I struggled with that for a while of like, well, is it bad to do acupuncture as a Christian? Is this something that I should be doing? But again, you just kind of feel like, well, I don't really have that many options. Why not? So I wrestled with that for a while. And I prayed about it. And at first I wasn't sure if I had an answer or not, but I did notice the clinic that I was going to most recently, one of the things that they specialize is in fertility, amongst a whole bunch of other illnesses and things that they treat. But so I was really confident in their ability to help me. And between the acupuncture and the supplements, like I was confident in that. But it wouldn't always be the same doctor that was treating me. So it would be the main doctor who owned the clinic. He would come in and he would oversee everything. Sometimes, other times he wouldn't be present. And then he had other acupuncturists working under him. And sometimes, like for the most part, the doctors that I got, they were good. But there was this one woman who she did the needles on me. And for the most part, the needles never bothered me. They didn't hurt. But there would be a few points that she would do and they would hurt. And I remember one time I just like it's not that it hurt so bad that it made me cry, but I think I was just already like feeling vulnerable and emotional and feeling like, well, why should I even have to be here and be going through this? So that on top of like the quick pain that I felt from the needles that she did, like I just got really emotional and I started to cry. And she was just kind of, I don't know, kind of cold. Like it was just like, oh, you need a tissue? Are you okay? And I think also there was a language barrier, so that could be it too. But like, I didn't feel peace in that situation. And so then after that, I don't know, I just started to not have peace about going, or I started to feel nervous about if it was going to hurt or not. And so that, amongst me like taking all of these supplements and doing all of the things, I at that point was like, I think I need to pause this, and I don't know, just slow down a bit, really take a step back and scale down on all of the supplements and the acupuncture and all of the things. And so ever since then, I haven't went back. And I say all that to say, when it came to the acupuncture or certain treatments or supplements or things that I found, now what I believe in, I do think that acupuncture can be good, especially for like acute pain, or if you have an injury. Like I had an injury to my back, and so I had went for acupuncture. After like 2 treatments, I felt a lot better. The pain was gone. Like I think that it was great for that. But for me, when it comes to fertility or things like that, I think that it's really important to make sure that you have a lot of facts So for me, that looked like testing. So I started working with a naturopathic doctor. He was actually a teacher of mine at the acupuncture school, but he taught an environmental toxicology class. And I really loved that class. We learned about like the importance of clean air and water, foods, non-toxic cooking, and all of the things. And he had mentioned POI, or primary ovarian insufficiency, in the class. So I waited till like the end of the quarter, and I had asked him if he could give me more resources, if he would treat students. And so he did give me a resource, and he said that he could treat me. So I worked with him for a while, and I got a lot of testing done. And then now I work with another naturopathic doctor, and there's just been so many different layers, I guess, to like my fertility diagnosis that I don't think that I would have learned if I didn't do this additional testing. And so I do have insurance, and at first I had like an HMO, and then I switched to a PPO. And most of the doctors that I excuse my dog in the background, now the doctors that I go to, I pay out of pocket, and that was a lot changed once I did that. And I understand that a lot of people maybe don't have the means to be able to just go to whoever they choose and pay out of pocket. But I will say, even like with my doctors, they'll do like a one-off consultation or even a free consultation to see if you're a good fit. And I know even if I didn't have the financial resources that I do, I would spend my last, or I would do whatever it takes to get answers. And I think that it can save you money in the long run. So I've learned the importance of getting as much of the facts as you can. Like, just because this person took all of these random supplements or did this random treatment, or I don't know, like there's so many different things. Like, just because it worked for them, you don't know what's going on in your body, and you don't know how that's going to work for you. And I've learned that there's so many different things that can be at play when it comes to infertility. It could be that you, I don't know, that you're exposed to mold, or it could be that you have just a buildup of different toxins in your body, or like just so many different things that you wouldn't know if you didn't test for those things. I also do think that there is a fine line between testing for what you need and then just over testing. So I think that it is important to always ask your doctor, like, well, why am I doing this test? What does this mean? And what are we hoping that the outcome from this is? So now I do believe in wellness. I do believe in like holistic medicine, but I'm a huge advocate for really knowing exactly what you're looking for and why, and to have a lot of data. I would say that's a big word for me, is data, as well as the facts. Like I said, I can go deeper in another video, but I have explored some different alternative methods that I do think were helpful in their own way. So one of them was low-level laser therapy. I want to say my first naturopathic doctor introduced that to me, and his clinic is pretty far, maybe like an hour plus with traffic from my house. And he didn't offer low-level laser therapy, but he told me about it and how there was some research for POI and how it can help in some cases. So I looked up places near my house, and I found a wellness clinic really close by. I asked them if it was something that they were able to do, especially as it relates to fertility. And they connected me with the doctor. She's actually a chiropractor that does it at their clinic. And she had PCOS. And so she was telling me that she was doing the laser on herself consistently, and she saw a lot of improvements just in her cycle and having a more regulated cycle. And so she was willing to work with me to try. So I did that for a couple of months, and I did see some changes. They were subtle, but just in tracking like my basal body temperature and things like that, I did see that my body was, I guess, trying to come back online, even if it still isn't like quite in a rhythm. I did see some subtle changes from that. What else? I would say for me, IV therapy, I do like that. I've been doing like a Myers cocktail, where it's just a blend of different vitamins and things like that. It does help me to have more energy. yeah, I didn't prepare a lot for this video. It's kind of just like a ramble of my thoughts, but I did want to share, I guess, just some of the different things that I'm working through. I can go in detail later about like all of the supplements, but for my POI diagnosis, I found that there is some like underlying autoimmune, things, I guess, to my specific case, but also just my immune system in general was really weak and wasn't functioning properly. So that's really what I'm focusing on now, is rebuilding my immune system with different supplements, some herbs like astragalus. Um, there's a lot, I can't even think of them all off of the top of my head. Vitamin D was a big one, which finally, like, my vitamin D levels are better. Because of my immune system not functioning properly, I did have a lot of inflammation. So I'm taking a lot of different things to try to reduce the inflammation. And yeah, other than that, I think I am starting to get a lot of answers. And that was really important to me. Like I said, I'm putting everything into God's hands and just trying to do my part, trying to eat healthy, drink enough water, and do all of that. But to just really lean on God to give me the peace to get through it all. And I really feel like I'm in a good place now with it, to where I'm just doing whatever I need to do, and I'm just waiting, on God, and just trusting in His timing for my life. And yeah, that's it. Like I said, I would love to go more in detail later about like specific supplements or different things, but I didn't want to start with that, and I didn't want to lead with that, because again, it is so easy to jump from supplement to supplement, or to jump from treatment to treatment. But you really have to know your body and specifically what's going on with you before you just jump out there and try all of these different things. But my dogs are barking. I'm going to wrap this up. I can bring them, I guess, to introduce them, since they clearly want to see what's going on over here. And then the cookies should be ready and set by now. So then we'll go back inside and taste those, and then we'll wrap up. Denver was my first dog that I ever had. And that was a challenge for me, because not only was it my first dog and I had no idea what to do, but he was huge and at some point bigger than me. So it was definitely a learning experience. But after lots of training, lots of patience, I think we figured it out. They're my dogs, so you will definitely hear them from time to time. Usually they're pretty quiet when I'm filming, but they do get restless sometimes. But I just wanted to introduce them, and I will see you guys back inside.